after I sold my business, I called the investment bank and I said, I'm the perfect guy for you to hire. I just sold my company. And they said, where did you get your MBA from? I said, I don't have an MBA. And so they weren't going to hire somebody like me. It's changed now, but it hadn't changed a ton. And they wanted finance people, even though I had, kind of a finance background. So as an entrepreneur, I started my own firm. If you really want to do something, you can. And even if you don't have that experience.
Hey, hi all. Welcome to another episode of our podcast series, Investment Banking Decoded. So today we are joined by Mr. Emery Ellinger. He is the founder and CEO of Aberdeen Advisors, an entrepreneur and nationally recognized M&A advisors. And he has completed more than hundreds of mergers, acquisitions, financing across multiple sectors and multiple industries. So with decades of experience helping business owners maximize value and navigate successful exits, he brings a unique perspective on deal making, growth, and entrepreneurship. Welcome to our show, Emery, and thanks a lot for taking your time for us.
Thank you. Welcome. I appreciate it.
So to start with, I would like to understand your background, how you came into investment banking. Can you please share for our viewers?
Yeah, I probably took a very different route than most. I started in commercial banking in Atlanta, and then I was recruited to Merrill Lynch. So I started, right out of college in, banking and investment banking. And then at the age of 26, I realized I was an entrepreneur. I didn't go, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, but I was at these big global companies and they had lots of meetings, and I realized I was, more of an entrepreneur. And I started a marketing company at the age of 26 and built that into 3 different companies and successfully exited that, when I was in my 30s. And then I joined an investment banking team group, and we help people buy and sell companies. And then ultimately I started my own firm. So that's how I got to where I am now in the merger and acquisition world.
That's great. And I'm sure that you're carrying a lot of experience in the corporate banking and investment banking also. So we would like to understand some of the deals you have worked, and is there any particular deal which is like very, very memorable to you?
Yeah, well, first of all, let me just say today is the IPO of SpaceX, which is the biggest deal that's ever happened. Yes. So it's a lucky day to have this interview. Unfortunately, I didn't work on that deal, but we work on large companies, but they're certainly much smaller than that, and we represent the seller. So we're called sell-side advisors. And we represent generally somebody that's founded the business or the second or third owner, and they want to sell. And we're generally selling to private equity or billionaires that want to buy, businesses or very high net worth individuals. So we help prep the company, take it to market, find the right partner, and get them over the finish line, which they all think it's going to be easy. And then at the closing table, they always say, I did not realize it was going to be that difficult. So
is there any particular deals you are which you felt like, this is very good, I did very well today? So is there any experience that you can share with us?
Yeah, we sold one of the largest, probably was at the time, the largest independent commercial lawn care company in Florida. And we sold it to a billionaire who was looking to get into that market, and it was the only buyer we showed the deal to, which is, that rarely happens. But it wasn't easy, right? Even though they were interested, our seller had high expectations on valuation, which we exceeded. We did it very, very well. And it was a great acquisition for the billionaire, who's now, I understand, bought at least 29 other commercial lawn care companies to add on to that. So that was a big success. And the buyer, being a billionaire, had big CPA firms, big law firms, they all do. And our sellers don't necessarily have the big CPA firms, big law firms, but we help them match up with those, highly skilled, trained, professional buyers so that they get the best deal. And a lot of sellers think, oh, I know who the buyer is. But yes, they may do, but they've never sold a company, and the buyers bought maybe hundreds of companies. So that's one of many, really interesting deals we've worked on.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Emery. So at Aberdeen Advisors, is there any particular sectors you are focusing on, certain industries you are focusing?
Yeah, we're based here in the Tampa market, but we're Southeastern. We have people all over the Southeast. So we are mainly selling companies in Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, Alabama kind of area, Virginia. And again, we're selling to private equity and billionaires. We do a lot in manufacturing. We do a lot in healthcare, and we do a ton in business services. Home services is HVAC, plumbing, roofing, electrical. We do a lot in those spaces. So we get involved in all different industries, but specifically in industries that are very acquisitive by the buyers, which dental, pest control, HVAC, are very, very active markets.
Great. And are you doing tech deals also, or you're focusing majorly on top?
I've done over my career, especially in Atlanta, we did a lot of that. As a matter of fact, it was the .com days. That's all we did was tech companies. And I moved to Florida. It wasn't much of a tech community then, but it is really growing. It's tech companies. And so we're doing more and more SaaS companies and yes, so we are doing more tech companies now.
Great.
Which I'm glad. It's exciting, right? These companies are the disruptive companies of the future.
Yes, definitely. So we are almost in the middle of 2026 now. So what's your focus for the remaining 6 months of 2026? Is there any particular sector areas you're focusing for the rest of 2026?
Yeah, that's a good question. Right now, because last year, let me just kind of back up. Last year, 2025, we had tariffs. So that really disrupted some of our manufacturing companies and distribution companies because they imported, metal, steel, other parts. So it really affected their cost of goods sold. So a lot of deals that probably would have gotten done in 2025 are getting done this year. So we've had a really good year this year of closing deals, but I call them the 2025 deals. Some people call them the hangover deals from last year. But so our focus has really been getting those deals closed and reloading the pipeline. Because I think if you talk to private equity buyers, they want, they're like, hey, we want more deals. And we do too. So our goal for the second half of the year, besides closing, a couple manufacturing companies and architecture companies and a few others that we have, will be finding other good companies to represent to help them sell. So that will be the focus. And I think the back half of 2026 is going to be phenomenal year. Not only are we going to have SpaceX and maybe Anthropic and OpenAI and other IPOs, some of those will go into next year. I think that's a sign of a very healthy and robust capital market, and that'll help us in the lower mid-market M&A space.
Great. So right now, as we all know, AI is the buzzword in the market. So I'd like to understand, like, how are you incorporating AI in your daily workflow, and in what ways data tools or generic data plays an important role in supporting a banker?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's something we look at and talk about weekly, because we are using AI, and we use everything from Claude to ChatGPT to Perplexity and others. A lot of it is on market research, like we're pitching a deal or we're selling a deal, and we're getting research, using those tools. You got to be really careful, because a lot of that information is inaccurate or misleading. So you have to be very, very careful. But we're looking at how do we automate, the financial analysis of companies. And I know the buyers are looking at how to, do due diligence with AI and so forth. So a lot of it will be on the buyer side. But we're using it mainly for research of buyers and the industry data. We've used it a little bit on drafting memorandums, but you have to be very, very careful with that. So, but we see it as it's gonna make us much more productive. It already has.
Yes. So, because like whenever I talk to a banker during my podcast, the usual comment which I'm getting is like, I started my career with a paper and pen, or a book and a pen. Then a floppy disk came, then a CD, then a DVD,
Right.
then a pen drive, then laptops. Now we have reached totally a different like a world where fingertips you'll get all the information using AI.
Right.
So that's a total change, especially like with all the data tools, like how you mentioned Claude, like ChatGPT, Perplexity, everything coming into the market. Now it's a revolution which is happening there.
Yeah, and I see it being really impacting like the analyst role at investment banking firms, and we're not going to need as many analysts as we would have in the past.
So as a continuation to that, my last question for the day would be that, with your decades of experience, what would be that one piece of advice you would like to give to a banker who is just starting his career?
Oh, that's good. That's really good question. I have to think about that for a second. I would say be a person of integrity. That's gonna, no matter what job you have, that is gonna be, critical. We see people taking shortcuts and not telling the full truth, and I think that will hurt them in their career. Sooner or later, that will catch up. So that would be the biggest thing.
So, when like you started with banking, like what was the advice you got from someone else which inspired you? It can be a book which you read, or it can be someone like a mentor who's coming and helping you out. So, what is that thing which gave you the idea that, okay, this is what I'm going to do?
Well, my story is, after I sold my business, I called the investment bank and I said, I'm the perfect guy for you to hire. I just sold my company. And they said, where did you get your MBA from? I said, I don't have an MBA. And so they weren't going to hire somebody like me. It's changed now, but it hadn't changed a ton. And they wanted finance people, even though I had, kind of a finance background. So as an entrepreneur, I started my own firm. So I guess the lesson is, if you really want to do something, you can, and even if you don't have that experience. But yeah, no, I love the book Think and Grow Rich. That's one of my favorite
Yes.
favorite books for sure.
Yes, yes. I have also read that. It's a wonderful book. I've read at least like 2-3 times. It's a great book.
Yeah. I'll listen to the tapes and so forth. So
great. So thanks a lot, Emery, for sparing your 20 minutes with us and
you're welcome.
sharing your experience on investment banking and how AI is shaping the world and what a new banker should be doing right now. Thanks for sharing your knowledge, sharing your wisdom with us. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.